There's a word they use when you start to pull away from the noise. When you stop answering messages as quickly. When you stop showing up to every event. When your name starts to fade from the chatter. They call it isolation. They say you're disappearing, withdrawing, losing touch. But what if it's not isolation at all? What if what they call loneliness is actually your first taste of freedom? What if the silence they fear is the very space where your truth finally begins to breathe? You see, most people have been taught that to be alone is to fail. From childhood, we're told to belong, to stay close to the crowd, to fit neatly inside the expectations of others. We learn that solitude is suspicious, that silence must mean sadness. So we fill every empty moment with noise, music, conversation, screens, plans, anything to avoid being alone with ourselves. But eventually, there comes a time when the noise becomes unbearable. When you can no longer pretend that the endless talking, the constant scrolling, the busy schedules are nourishing you. You begin to feel the hunger for something deeper, something real. And that's when it starts. The slow and quiet withdrawal from everything that no longer feels alive. At first it feels strange. The stillness feels almost too loud. The silence exposes everything you've been running from. The fears, the doubts, the things you never wanted to face. That's why people are terrified of being alone. It strips away distraction. It confronts you with the truth of yourself. But what no one tells you is that beyond that initial discomfort lies something extraordinary. Beneath the noise you've been avoiding, there's peace. Beneath the restlessness, there's clarity. And beneath the loneliness, there's freedom. When you first step away from the crowd, it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like loss. You'll wonder why you can't connect like before, why conversations now feel forced, why the things that used to excite you now feel hollow. You'll try to go back. You'll message old friends, revisit old habits, force yourself into old routines just to feel that sense of belonging again. But every time you do, something in you will resist. You'll feel it in your body, that quiet whisper that says, "Not this, not anymore." And if you're brave enough to listen, you'll start to see that you haven't lost connection. You've just outgrown the version of connection that was built on pretending. This is the paradox of awakening. When you begin to find yourself, you lose the world you once knew. You stop being able to play along with conversations that revolve around complaints, gossip, or competition. You stop wanting to be in rooms where everyone's trying to prove something. You stop needing to explain yourself to people who aren't truly listening. You start valuing your peace more than your image. And in a society built on performance, that peace looks like isolation. People will say, "You've changed." They'll tell you that you're distant, that you've lost your spark. But what they're really saying is that you've stopped performing the role they're comfortable with. You've stopped being who they needed you to be. They can no longer predict your reactions, no longer feed off your energy. And that makes them uncomfortable, because your stillness exposes their restlessness. Your silence reflects their noise. Your authenticity highlights their pretending. So they call it isolation. But you know the truth, it's liberation. As you go deeper into this solitude, something remarkable happens. The constant anxiety that once followed you begins to fade. The endless comparisons, the invisible pressure to keep up, the need to be understood, they start to lose their grip. You realize that you don't need anyone's permission to exist exactly as you are. You stop seeking validation because you finally start feeling your own presence. You begin to enjoy your own company, not out of defiance, but out of deep relief. You discover that solitude is not the absence of connection. It's the presence of self. There's a certain moment in every awakening when you stop chasing. You stop chasing people who don't see you. You stop chasing explanations, closure, or understanding. You stop needing to justify your peace. You realize that the people meant for you will find you, not in the noise but in the quiet. Because the truth is, the more authentic you become, the smaller your circle gets, but the deeper your connections grow. You may have fewer people around you, but they will see you for who you are, not for what you perform. At first, it's hard to trust this new rhythm. Your old identity will fight for survival. It will whisper that you're missing out, that you're falling behind, that you're becoming invisible. But the deeper you go into stillness, the more you see that you were never meant to be everywhere, doing everything, pleasing everyone. You were meant to be here, fully, consciously, peacefully. You were meant to experience life not through noise, but through presence. This is the part most people never reach, because it requires letting go of everything you've been taught about success and belonging. You have to face the fear of being misunderstood. You have to walk through the discomfort of not being validated. You have to accept that solitude will strip away every illusion you had about who you are. And in that stripping away, something new is born, a version of you that is no longer defined by the outside world. It's in this solitude that you begin to see clearly. You see how much energy you used to spend maintaining false identities. You see how many of your choices were made just to be accepted. You see how often you silenced your truth just to keep the peace. And for the first time, you realize that you were never truly alone before. You were just surrounded by noise that drowned out your own voice. Now, in the quiet, that voice returns. At first, it's faint. Then it gets louder. It tells you what you actually feel, what you actually want, what actually matters. You start making decisions not from fear, but from alignment. You start saying no to things that drain you, even if it disappoints people. You start saying yes to what nourishes you, even if it makes no sense to others. And this is when isolation transforms into freedom. Freedom is not about being untouchable or detached. It's about being whole. It's about no longer needing to edit yourself, to be accepted. It's about realizing that belonging to yourself is the deepest form of belonging there is. It's about being at peace with the silence, because the silence is finally honest. But this freedom comes with responsibility, because once you've tasted it, you can't go back to pretending. You can't force yourself to participate in conversations that no longer resonate. You can't stay in relationships that feed on your energy instead of honoring it. You can't keep living in a world built on distraction when you've seen what presence feels like. And this can make life look smaller from the outside, but inside it's infinite. Eventually you'll notice something else. The solitude that once felt empty starts to feel full. Full of creativity, full of awareness, full of peace. You begin to sense life moving through you in subtle ways you never noticed before. The sunrise feels like a conversation. The wind feels like a reminder. The silence itself begins to speak. You start to realize that you were never truly disconnected. You were just listening to the wrong frequency. And when you tune back in, life feels alive again. You stop trying to fill the silence because you finally understand that it's sacred. You stop fearing solitude because you realize that it's where your soul recharges. You stop craving company just to avoid your own thoughts, because now your thoughts have become your teachers. You start to see that isolation was never a punishment. It was an invitation. An invitation to come home to yourself. Yes, people will still misunderstand. They'll still call it withdrawal, detachment, maybe even depression. But you'll know better. You'll know that you're not escaping life. You're finally engaging with it fully, from the inside out. You're no longer living reactively. You're living deliberately. You're no longer running from discomfort. You're sitting with it until it transforms. You're no longer seeking approval. You're offering authenticity. And that's something the world rarely recognizes, because the world confuses noise with connection and motion with progress. But you'll know the difference. You'll know that silence is not emptiness, it's space. You'll know that solitude is not exile, it's expansion. You'll know that walking alone doesn't mean you're lost, it means you trust your own path. And the more comfortable you become in your own company, the more magnetic you become to others who are doing the same. You'll start finding people who are also walking quietly, also building lives from truth rather than performance. You'll recognize them instantly, not because of how they look or what they say, but because of how peaceful they feel. That's the secret no one tells you. Once you stop fighting the solitude, it transforms you. It becomes your teacher, your mirror, your medicine. It burns away what's false and leaves only what's real. And from that place, everything changes. Your relationships become more authentic. Your creativity deepens. Your choices align with your soul. You stop trying to be understood by everyone and start cherishing the few who truly see you. One day, you'll look around and realize that what you once called isolation was actually your liberation. The time you thought you were lost was the time you were being found. The silence you feared was the space your soul needed to grow. You'll realize that the world didn't abandon you. You simply walked away from the parts of it that no longer matched your frequency. So if you're in that space right now, if your phone is quiet, if your circle is smaller, if your days feel slower, don't panic. You're not falling behind. You're falling into alignment. You're not being forgotten. You're being remembered by yourself. You're not isolating, you're recalibrating. This is the sacred in-between where everything false dissolves and everything real begins. Let the silence do its work. Let the loneliness become your teacher. Let yourself be still, long enough to hear what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. Because when the noise fades and the masks fall, what remains is not emptiness, it's truth. And truth, once found, will never abandon you. So the next time someone says you're isolating, smile. Let them believe what they need to. You know better. You know that what they call isolation, you call freedom. You know that the silence you're learning to love is not the absence of life. It's the beginning of truly living. And if these words reached you, if they found you in your own quiet corner of the world, leave a comment below. Tell me what solitude has taught you. Tell me what freedom feels like when the world calls it isolation. And if this message resonated with you, share it. Subscribe, like, or simply stay connected here where truth is honored and silence is sacred. Because maybe, just maybe, your own silence is the revolution the world needs most.